the COVID-19 pandemic, particularly in the springtime, it resulted in NHS England asking that pharmacy support be ramped up to patients in care homes, and this support should include facilitating medicine supply, medication reviews, etc., particularly for those recently discharged from hospital. And across Cornwall, the health system response to that was to have the pharmacy team, technicians and pharmacists make contact with care home staff whenever patients were transferred from our hospital into a care home. There's obviously risks around transfer of care, and for these vulnerable patients in particular, where they may have been discharged to a care home that was unfamiliar with the patients because it was a new care home, and indeed may have resulted in them being in a locality that was not the normal GP surgery nor the normal community pharmacy. So the team worked to compile at the point of discharge a list of discharge medicines, and noting any changes that had occurred since medicines reconciliation had taken place at the point of admission into the hospital. And they also looked at the discharge letter to understand why the patient had been admitted, and then there was a conversation just after the patient had been discharged into the care home. There was a conversation with the care home staff to describe what had happened to that patient's medication profile, to describe the changes to the patient's medication that had happened during the inpatient stay, and to highlight any medicines optimization advice or monitoring that was required by the GP after discharge. So between the end of May to September, there were 95 patients, just over half of them were female, as expected, elderly patients, mean age 85. And what we attempted to do was looking at the advice that had been both verbally reported to the care home staff and then sent through to them in a communication. We tried to categorise that advice into these broad categories, which most of, I'm sure many of you listening to this will recognise. It's all about what has happened to a patient's medication, and as I said, particular bits of advice that were picked up by the pharmacy technicians or pharmacists in that communication with the care home staff. I think, unfortunately, we're unable to get any sort of formal feedback on this.